Marchand.
4-2-50, on le rappelle, le temps du record du monde, mais il va nager déjà plus vite que ce qu'il a fait au championnat du monde l'année dernière à Singapour.
Sous les 4-5, et c'est énorme. 4-0-4-56 pour Léon Marchand, son 4e chrono en carrière, c'est fou.
On June 27th, 2026, at the French Elite Championships in Saint-Étienne, France, a 24-year-old swimmer named Léon Marchand dove into the pool for the men's 400-meter individual medley final and delivered a performance that instantly re-established him as the most dominant medley swimmer on the entire planet, silencing any doubts about his form heading into the biggest summer of his career. Léon Marchand touched the wall in 4 minutes, 4.56 seconds. That time was the 5th fastest performance in the entire history of the event. That time made him the fastest European man of the entire season by nearly 6 full seconds ahead of Russia's Ilya Borodin, the closest challenger anywhere on the entire continent. Here is the thing that makes Marchand's relationship with this exact event so extraordinary and historic. In 2023, Léon Marchand shattered Michael Phelps's 400-meter individual medley world record by 1.34 seconds, becoming the first swimmer in the entire history of the sport to dip under 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Phelps himself was there at the medal ceremony. Phelps personally presented Marchand with his gold medal, a symbolic passing of the torch from the greatest swimmer in Olympic history to the young Frenchman who had just broken his own signature world record on the world stage. Marchand did not stop there. At the 2025 World Championships in Singapore, he broke Ryan Lochte's 14-year-old world record in the 200-meter individual medley, clocking 1 minute, 52.69 seconds. Marchand now simultaneously holds the world records in both individual medley events, a level of dominance across the 4-stroke discipline that echoes Phelps's own legendary command of those exact races during his own historic career. In the weeks ahead, Marchand will compete at the European Championships in Paris, France, running from July 31st through August 16th, 2026, in front of his own home crowd for the very first time at a senior continental championship. But his path there has not been simple. An adductor injury suffered just days after his Saint-Étienne victory has forced him to scale back his event schedule heading into the biggest meet on French soil in years. Before we get to Paris, you need to understand how a kid from Toulouse became the swimmer who finally took Michael Phelps's world record away. Léon Marchand was born on May 17, 2002, in Toulouse, France. Swimming ran in his blood from the very beginning of his life. His father, Xavier Marchand, was a former world silver medalist and Olympian who competed at the highest levels of the sport. His mother, Céline Bonnet, was a French record holder in her own right, giving Léon a rare pedigree few young swimmers could ever match. Growing up, surrounded by that kind of swimming excellence naturally shaped his early passion for the sport from a very young age. He started training with the Dauphin de Toulouse Olympique Employés Club in his hometown, quickly standing out for his exceptional natural talent and feel for the water among coaches who had trained generations of French swimmers before him. In 2019, at just 17 years old, he won the French national title in the 200-meter butterfly. Just months later, he secured a bronze medal in the 400-meter medley at the Junior World Championships in Budapest, Hungary, an early signal of the remarkable versatility that would come to define his entire professional career in the years that followed. In September of 2020, Marchand made a decision that would transform his entire career trajectory. He announced he would study at Arizona State University and train under the guidance of Bob Bowman, the legendary coach who had guided Michael Phelps to 23 Olympic gold medals across an unmatched 17-year career in the pool. The move across the Atlantic paid enormous dividends almost immediately upon his arrival in the United States, as he adapted quickly to a demanding new training environment far from home. Marchand shone at the 2022 World Championships in Budapest, claiming gold in both the 400-meter individual medley and the 200-meter butterfly. He was no longer simply a promising French talent competing on the junior circuit. He was rapidly becoming a genuine international star under the tutelage of the same coach who had once built Phelps into a global legend, and swimming analysts around the world began taking notice of just how quickly he was progressing. At the 2023 World Championships in Fukuoka, Japan, Léon Marchand delivered the defining signature moment of his young career. He shattered Michael Phelps's 400-meter individual medley world record, a mark that had stood since 2008, by 1.34 seconds, clocking 4 minutes, 2.50 seconds, and becoming the first swimmer in the entire history of the sport to break the 4-minute 3-second barrier. That was insane. One of the most painful things I've done, Marchand said afterward, still visibly emotional from the sheer physical effort of the swim. It was amazing to do it here, and the time is crazy. Phelps, watching from the stands as a spectator rather than a competitor for the first time in that particular event, later presented Marchand with his gold medal at the ceremony, a gesture widely interpreted across the international swimming world as the official passing of the torch from one generational talent to the next, a moment that was replayed countless times across sports media in the days that followed. At the Paris 2024 Olympics, Marchand carried the weight of an entire host nation on his shoulders and delivered far beyond every expectation placed upon him. He won 5 total medals, including 4 individual golds, becoming the most successful athlete at the entire games across every sport. He swept the 200 and 400-meter individual medley events, added gold in the 200-meter breaststroke, and captured gold in the 200-meter butterfly as well, an unprecedented range of dominance across 4 completely different competitive disciplines in a single Olympic Games. That kind of pressure, competing in front of a home crowd desperate for a hero after years of anticipation and build-up, would overwhelm most athletes entirely. Even seasoned Olympic veterans with prior experience on the biggest stage, Marchand thrived under it instead, cementing his status as the biggest star in men's swimming and drawing constant, well-earned comparisons to the versatility that once made Phelps completely untouchable in the pool. French newspapers dubbed him a national treasure overnight, and his face appeared on magazine covers across the entire country in the weeks following the games. Drop a comment right now and tell me what you think Léon Marchand does next. Do you think he recovers from his adductor injury in time to defend his medley titles at the European Championships this summer? Do you think he eventually breaks even more of Michael Phelps's remaining records? Do you think he becomes the greatest individual medley swimmer of all time? I read every single comment you leave below in the section. Bob Bowman coached Michael Phelps from the time he was a preteen all the way through his historic retirement from the sport, guiding him through 5 separate Olympic Games and countless World Championship performances, and he now coaches Léon Marchand with that exact same demanding philosophy and attention to technical detail. Bowman has said that Marchand possesses a rare combination of technical versatility and competitive instinct across all 4 strokes, the same qualities that once made Phelps the most dominant swimmer in the entire history of the Olympic Games. Bowman knows better than perhaps anyone alive what it takes to build a legend in the individual medley events, and he is doing it again with Marchand, this time on French soil and on the international stage, applying lessons learned across 2 decades of championship coaching at the very highest level of the sport. June 27th, 2026, Saint-Étienne, France. The men's 400-meter individual medley final on the opening day of the French Elite Championships. Marchand, returning to top competitive form after a lighter-than-usual competitive schedule, entered the pool with his sights firmly set on a statement swim ahead of his home European Championships in Paris. The race unfolded with Marchand in complete control from the very first stroke of the butterfly leg. He moved efficiently through the butterfly and backstroke legs, maintained his commanding position through the demanding breaststroke portion of the race, and powered home on freestyle with the kind of composure and technical precision that has defined his championship swims for years now. He touched the wall in 4 minutes, 4.56 seconds, the 5th fastest time ever recorded in the entire history of the event, and comfortably his fastest swim outside of a major global championship setting. It was a dominant, confident statement delivered just 2 days before an adductor injury sustained in the 200-meter breaststroke. Heats would abruptly derail the remainder of his meet and cast considerable uncertainty over his summer schedule heading into the biggest competition of the year on home soil. Here is what comes next for Léon Marchand over the coming weeks of this crucial summer season. He is targeting the European Championships in Paris, running from July 31st through August 16th, 2026, competing in front of a home French crowd for the very first time at a senior continental championship, a moment he has anticipated for years leading up to this point. His adductor injury has forced him to withdraw from the 200 and 400-meter individual medley events at that particular meet, but he remains on course to compete in the 200-meter butterfly and the 400-meter freestyle, an entirely new event for him at the senior international level. Marchand still holds the world records in both individual medley distances, records that once belonged to Phelps and longtime, two of the greatest swimmers in American swimming history, a fact that continues to fuel comparisons between the young Frenchman and the legends who came before him. His recovery timeline heading into the back half of this Olympic cycle will ultimately determine whether he can add to that already remarkable legacy before the Los Angeles Olympics arrive in 2028, a games that many expect will define the next chapter of his career. The French Swimming Federation has confirmed that Marchand remains eligible to add additional events to his European Championships program, provided he has already met the qualifying standard at an approved meet within the past year, giving him meaningful flexibility as his recovery continues to progress in the coming weeks ahead of the opening ceremony in Paris. So here is the question. Does Léon Marchand fully recover in time to reclaim his complete medley program at future championships this year? Does he eventually surpass every remaining record Michael Phelps still holds in the sport? Does he become the greatest individual medley swimmer the sport has ever produced? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to be here when this 24-year-old French icon continues chasing the legacy that Michael Phelps once personally handed him, subscribe right now. Léon Marchand is still writing his story, one stroke and one record at a time.